Welcome to Beyond Our Focus. I'm Stefan, this is Amanda, and this is Breaking Prisms for November 27th, where we go over Black Mirror and the Twilight Zone. Today will be Black Mirror Season 2, Episode 4, called White Christmas.
Yes, this is one of the longer episodes.
Yeah, at I think hour and 10, hour and 12 minutes or something.
Yeah, compared to the 45.
But that's the fun with Netflix. I like that they're able to explore the range. Like, hey, make whatever you want and do what you want. What show? Something I watched recently that the scale varied great. It was Chaos. The Jonah Hill
Maniac.
Maniac.
There.
Maniac. Like the longest episode was an hour. Yeah. The shortest episode was 37 minutes. It's they just whatever they wanted to do. It was only 10 episodes.
So us.
What?
How our shows go.
Well, we got a little bit of something for everybody. You want something long? Maybe you listen to What's in the Box. Because right now that's sitting out our longest show. Because that really ran long. Or Let's Blabber. They're going to be longer. And then this one ranges according to which episode we'd watch. I feel this one's going to be a little longer than normal.
This one I also think is kind of like their Christmas special.
It is a Christmas-themed episode, hence White Christmas.
Yes.
This episode won't quite air during Christmas. Close-ish. We're almost in December. I did say November 27th, didn't I?
Yeah.
I believe I did.
Yes.
So, almost there. Almost. We're almost in December. Can we just get through December? It'd make me so happy. But at some point, we should probably get on to the actual, what the show's about. So we're actually go over this.
How do we want to start?
Well, the episode starts with, as I called him, Guy 1.
Yeah, they didn't have... I don't remember if they had names.
I don't think there was introductions through 90% of the episode. We do eventually find out his name is, I think, Joe.
Why does that not sound right?
I'm pretty sure it was Joe. That's what I wrote down in my notes.
Oh, okay.
They mentioned it one time. Or I think...
Wait, which guy? Oh, the Guy 1?
Guy 1 is Joe.
Okay.
Guy 2 is Matthew. Or he claims himself to be Matthew at one point. Because I'm Matthew with Smartronic or something?
Yeah.
But I just called it, in my notes up to that point, I called him Don, because I'm pretty sure his name's Don Draper. I think that's the actor's name.
Yeah.
Which I completely forgot that he was in this at all. I'm oh, look at you!
I recognized the girl, too. Later on.
I did not.
Oh, I recognized his wife. Yeah. Not his wife, not Don's wife, but...
Joe's wife?
Yeah.
Or we could call him Mr. Potter.
Mr. Potter?
Because the last name was Potter.
I didn't realize that till the end when she opens the Mr. Potter. I
didn't either. That point is Mr. Potter. I'm so this is what happened when Harry finally gets down. This is what happens later on.
This is what happens when
this is his cousin, distant cousin.
That's what happens when Harry snaps.
Yeah. So but anyway, we wake up, we start with him waking up in this cabin?
Yeah,
sure.
Cottage cabin, whatever
thing
it is.
In the middle of the snow, and he walks out, and he has a roommate who is cooking something. I don't remember, potatoes or something, and just wants to, hey, what's going on? I figured I'd decorate, blah blah blah. It's amazing what they consider essentials out here.
You can they said only store the essentials. It's amazing that someone thought tinsel was essential.
Yeah, so he's set up a little bit Christmassy themed. It's Christmas in this episode.
Yes.
So
we find out, well, if you didn't know, Black Mirror is a British show.
Yes.
So we find out, of course, that he's American and Mr. Potter, of course, is British. So I don't know how many more Americans they actually had so far.
I don't know. Probably more. I think more and more as the further the show gets. It starts widening and... Since I believe, what was it? The first season was on it's on a British TV show.
Well, the first one was Channel 4, I think.
So I think once it kind of became a Netflix thing, it really expanded into what it could become, and it's been really awesome. And they've been doing more and cooler things the further they get through the episodes.
Yeah. So we find out he's American. Our Joe Potter guy
Yeah, Joe Potter
is British. He mentions that they have been there for 5 years.
Yes, he says you've barely spoken of sense to me in the last 5 years. Like, that's a little of an exaggeration, but only a little.
Well, I don't know. He keeps using 5 years. I know that he said you've only spoken to me 3 sentences in the past 5 years, and then.
But he said that's an exaggeration, but
then,
only a little.
Yeah, but then continues to say 5 years. So I think the 5-year mark is pretty solid. Except,
So he's trying to talk to him, and they want to, we should chit chat. It's Christmas. We should talk about things. So he tries to talk to him a little bit, and then he's like, well, how about you?
Yeah.
What? Or he starts talking like, why did you end up here? Yeah. Why here in the middle of nowhere doing this job, which they never say what is, but this job in the middle of nowhere, how did you end up here?
And he pretty much is just like, well, it's a job. Or the only explanation he gave right off the bat pretty much is just like, I took the job just like you, or something like that.
Yeah. He's like, well, no one comes here without something bad happening in their life. You just don't come work here. And like, well, how about you? Why are you here? So, Don Draper decides, we'll give him a little story.
Yes.
And that's the first third of this episode.
Yes.
Is Don Draper's story.
Because the summary of this episode is that it is 3 stories in which technology went haywire, something like that.
3, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe I can see 3. Maybe we'll see. Oh, maybe 1, 2. Maybe I don't know. Anyway, we'll get there.
I just remember that as the Netflix summary, but. I can see 3.
Yeah, I see where
Don has 2, and then Potter has 1.
I guess Don just had 2 distinctly 2 himself. I wasn't thinking that way. So okay, sure, that sounds good.
Now, as far as we had mentioned prior to this, that you said that there might be notes to other or nods to other episodes.
Well, it's very particular spots, and once we arrive to them through the episode, I will point them out.
I thought it was kind of crazy because this one, what reminded me of that right now is that the whole, once again, we have a job in the middle of nowhere, very isolated, no one's telling you what you're doing. And it just reminded me of the one episode where they're just sitting there on the little pedals. And you don't know what they're actually doing. You just know they're creating.
That is the episode I'm talking about.
Okay.
They actually not due to this particular thing, but there are very specific moments that not very far. The first one was actually once we get to Joe Potter's story, his wife.
Yeah.
She goes up and sings that song at karaoke.
Oh.
That is the song that the girl sings at the competition in hers.
I had forgotten.
It is. I'm like, this song. It sounds so familiar. Oh no, this is. And I like this. This is that song. It's from. I think it's like the 2nd episode of the 1st season.
Yes, it is.
And then later on the only time you see a television, they show a show that looks exactly like that show in that episode.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure if I did some 5 seconds of research outside of just jumping into this, I'd find out why these were connected. I almost guarantee it was like one of the actresses or something cross-pollinated here.
Yeah.
Why these particularly 2 episodes connect. Maybe it's the same director, maybe it's the same something, but I don't know what. Because I didn't do that 5 seconds of research that it would have taken.
It's okay, it didn't even cross my mind while I was watching the episode. So.
Yeah, I come on to it.
But, so yes, they're sitting at the table, they're bored, at least the Don guy is bored. That's what he says. The first things before he got to his story is my first notes were, of course, 5 years, that he was bored. At first, I thought maybe they were related-ish somehow, and then he calls him buddy, and I was like, nope, they're roommates, or they are strangers. The other than snow, meaning that you know that they're kind of snowed in. Job, not jail. That's exactly what he said. Mm-hmm. He's like, this is I thought it was a job, not jail. Or this is job, not jail.
And he's like, well, are they really that different or something like that?
And then he says, what did you do to get here? And he's like, what did you do? Did you talk your way into trouble? And
exactly.
He's like,
you know what?
Sorta.
In kind of a way he did.
Yeah.
It's kind of almost exactly how he got there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we go into good old Don Draper's story, which he starts off. And I put he's a love guru.
Yep, I immediately clicked onto that because as soon as I saw him, I'm like, love guru.
He's a love guru.
He is Hitch inside somebody's head.
Yes. So what he does is, in this future, because this is definitely a future.
Well, yeah.
You can apparently have contacts or something.
Eyelids.
Oh, no, it's eyes, your eyes. It's actually your eyes.
Yes, because they can't take it out.
The Z eyes that everyone gets at birth or something?
I don't know.
They didn't explain that, but I guess it's not really important to the overall arcing story, just that everyone has Z eyes, which is some kind of futuristic eye thing.
It uses a program called iLink, or at least he does. That's what he used.
But, so, you can stream everything you're seeing to a computer, which Don Draper watches and coaches you through how to pick up this girl you want. That's essentially what this is, and somehow it's a service that other people pay to watch through someone's eyes, and then if you let them do your eyes, you get to do other people's. It's some weird service, illegal.
Yes, it's
service,
an illegal service.
Which I don't really know why it would be illegal.
I think it's just using it for that purpose. Maybe?
I mean, everyone was consenting for the most part, except maybe the girl. But I mean, at the end, she's just being watched. It's no different than a lot of things. I mean, there's a little bit there, but
it also could be considered an illegal business. I mean, I don't know if he had a license to, because I'm sure people paid him. So.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I don't know. But yeah, this is his little side job that he does to make extra money.
Yes. So meanwhile, through his story, it kind of, like, he'll be talking, and then it'll kind of jump back to the cottage where he's talking to Mr. Potter. So that's when he says things like, oh, yeah, I got him put in, you can't get him out, like, and then in that minute, either Mr. Potter's just staring off into space, and he's like, what is it? And he's like, oh, I just never noticed the clock before.
Yes, I noticed the clock.
In 5 years, you never noticed the clock that's up there? No. And then he's like, okay, well, let me continue on with my story.
Exactly. Which is guiding this kid, or this, I don't know, he's, 18 maybe?
I don't know.
He's not old. He's very young. 18, 19, we're just going to go with that for the sake of it. Yeah. Through this office party, which he talks him to getting into, till this really dark, really like gothic chick.
Yes. And the thing is that it was a office party crashing, meaning he did not work at the place. It was somewhere, it was like wedding crashing. So he was just going to show up and pretend he belonged there. And apparently this had to have happened prior, because he seemed to have coaching beforehand. Remember the breathing that we talked about?
Yes,
There
definitely been previous coachings or previous prep for this. They had this is a multi-thing. Over and over again, getting ready to get out there. This is very much Hitch, like you said earlier. Yes. This is Hitch, except he follows through to make sure he's on the date and talking and seeing everything as it happens.
So pretty much the main focus, don't focus on the chick you want, which is the dark-haired one. Focus on Fren.
Exactly.
Alienate her. Which, in turn, she doesn't care.
No, because she doesn't care about being alien. She's an outsider, as they say.
Yes. So then the tactics turn to, become the outsider with her.
Exactly. Go seek her out. Oh, talk to her. Oh, talk about outsider things and get to know her and try to blah, blah, blah. Move to a quieter place.
Oh, you don't like parties either, I can tell. Oh, yeah. And then he's like, he kind of lets her talk about, like, she said, it's always the voices that bother me, like all the noise. Mm-hmm. And she talks about how half of them are always telling you should do something, and the other half's like, no, you shouldn't do that. And he's like, yeah, sometimes you just wish they'd stop. Mm-hmm. She agrees.
He's laying it on nice and thick, and it's like, you should just do it. And
he's like, how long have you worked here? Oh, about 3 years, but I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm leaving.
Yes, I'm leaving. And it's like,
I've been preparing for this for a long time.
Yeah, I haven't had the courage to really go through with it yet. And he's like, you should do it. Yeah, really? Yes, you should do it. Go for it. It's just a change in state.
Yep, a change in state.
In which I literally wrote down just by her saying it how she did, first notes, suicide or murder. Like, just, that's literally, like, just her vibe. It was like either she's done with life or she wants to kill somebody. Like, just, it wasn't I'm quitting my job. Like,
yeah, it was much deeper than that.
Yeah.
And was it ever? So she takes him back, or she goes off for a minute to use the restroom, and he starts talking to Don Draper, who's in his ear.
Yes.
Or his eye.
Yeah.
Or however all that works. And she comes back out and sees him talking to someone.
Yes. He's like, I don't think I can do this. I'm changing my mind. I can't go through with this. We had, oh, hi, you're back.
Yep. Where she, of course, thinks he's just talking to the voices in his head.
Yes.
Which he is, in a different way.
Which, you don't really notice that at first. You just see her kind of looking at him and you think, oh, she's going to think that, he at first I thought maybe everyone knew about this service. So I thought she was going to bust him like, oh, okay, I see how this goes. So
nope.
She's like, we're going back to my house.
Yep, we're going back to my place. You're coming with me.
Yeah.
She practically drags him back to her place.
So yeah, when she was talking, I thought suicide. At that moment, I was like murder because she's pissed off that he's using some service to try to get with her. Yeah.
So yeah, she gets in there. So they go in the bedroom. I'll be in there in a minute. She comes in there. She hands him a drink. He drinks a little bit.
Yeah.
A smidge.
Yeah. She pretty much just puts it to his lips, kind of tips it up, and is like, here, drink this. And he's just like...
Things are cool for a second, and then she starts talking a little bit of craziness. And then Don Draper on the other end, like, you need to go. Yeah. We need to close this down. It's time to go.
Yeah, he's pretty much like, you need to get out of there. You can tell that, like, he's, like, trying to clear his throat and stuff, and then you start noticing that his lips are a little redder than they should be. Like,
way too red, and there's blood start coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, and meanwhile, she's like, I wasn't sure about this, but you gave me the courage to go through with it. I said, I just want the voices to stop. Half of them are telling me I should do things, half of them, and I just want them to be quiet, and I know you know exactly what I'm going through.
To which he decides to start trying to confess about what actually is happening.
Yes.
And she doesn't pick up on that at all.
No. She pretty much is like, he's like, no, it's a service I paid for. There's this guy in my head. He's coaching me through this. And she's like, I know that's what it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't, she's not picking up on the vibe at all.
You don't have to listen to them anymore. We can be free. They can be quiet now.
So, yeah, she, at some point, decides she takes
a
funnel, shoves it in his mouth, and pours the rest of the drink in.
Yeah.
And then drinks the drink herself. And then people are freaking out, and Don Draper's character on the end is like, destroy everything.
Yeah, just nope. Get rid of it.
Which he starts pulling discs and doing all, throws it in the trash can and pours lighter fluid all over it.
And then proceeds to, you've realized that he's doing this from his house.
Yes.
So he's sneaking down the stairs, trying not to wake everybody up.
Which apparently he has a wife. He has kids because he's kicking toys and stuff.
First he steps on a squeaker, and then he hits the mother of all toys that's like, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And
which the wife walks out at that point.
What are you doing? Like,
and then we cut back to the cabin.
Yes.
Well, let's go. He was telling him this entire story. And before he gets to, when they go back to her place, Mr. Potter here asks, well, did you watch?
Yes.
And he's like, no, I didn't watch. My service was done. It was over. I was done. Yeah. Which, of course, he did watch. So
They all, apparently it's a normal thing to watch, because he's like, hey, it's like, I don't want you guys to see this, and he's like, hey, you watched me when I went through my first one. So.
Exactly. This is a normal thing for them, but Mr. Potter doesn't know all this.
Yeah.
So he doesn't tell him all of this. Yeah. And then he just, Don Draper's character there goes like, well, so she blocks me.
Yes. She
blocks me, and because anyway, the guy died, and blah blah blah. And Potter's like, "Well, how'd you find out?" And he's like, "Well, some video cast or whatever he says calls it." Yeah. But the point we're going to focus on here is
blocking.
She blocked him. Yes. This wasn't like a Facebook friend block or anything.
No, we find out that, and this plus the whole eye thing really reminds me of, what is it, the million whatever, or the memories ones, where they can scroll through their memories.
The entire history of you.
Yes. So pretty much they have a little kind of controller thingy.
That they can do all kinds of fun things with their eyes.
Yes.
Which, of course, is like streaming, apparently. Zooming, apparently. Taking pictures.
So, yes. Very, very much like the whole history of you. So, there's a little feature called block. In which case, you have an argument with someone. You're tired of hearing them. Everything. You can block them. Which
will gray their entire body out and mute them from you.
Yes.
And they can't see, or they see a gray blurred version of you, and they can't hear you, and you can't see or hear them.
Yes. There's no way to communicate. And apparently, if you block, then any spawn?
Any offspring. I'm not sure exactly which hierarchy and how, because that would be weird. I didn't like that, but we'll get more into that later.
Yeah. But yes, so they're blocked. He said apparently it's supposed to only last 24 hours?
It's supposed to be short, but they can block you permanently.
Yes. And
not only does it block this person, it blocks any and every single image of this person, period.
Yes.
If they're in a photograph, well, that photograph of them is also blocked.
Yes. That's fucking
insane. It is insane.
So, then we learn that that was when it was called Z-Eyes.
Yeah, so we learned that's, at that point, it's called Z-Eyes.
And then something crashes in the background of the cottage, and Mr. Potter turns around.
I think that's much later.
No, it's actually right after. Because it's right before they go into Cookie.
Is it? I thought it was much later.
But it's very subtle, though.
Oh, never mind. I wrote down the same thing, too.
Yeah. He looks...
It's in mine.
Yeah.
I wrote it down and still thought it was later. So...
He looks back and then looks forward at the guy, and Don's just sitting there staring at him, and he's like, didn't you hear that? And he's like, huh. So, anyways...
he moves on past that really quick.
He just kind of smiles at him like, dude, you're crazy. I don't hear anything. And then goes into, what did you do before? Tries to get him to talk again. And Mr. Potter's still not having it. He's just very quiet.
No. And it somehow moves over to the job again. And what he did before. He's like, you'll never guess what I did before this.
He's like, did you talk a lot? I thought he was going to be a telemarketer, but yeah.
Well, he throws out a few things, of course it isn't, and then we get the next story, which is Don Draper's character's job. What his actual job was before this whole incident and before him coming here to this cabin and blah, blah, blah.
Yes, because it was, he's like, I thought you just told me your job. And he's like, no, that was a side hobby. I actually had a different job, and then...
Which we immediately go over to a girl in a white room.
Yes. I thought she was pregnant at first.
I didn't know what was going on.
It just seemed like her stomach was just... So I thought maybe she was a pregnant woman. I was like, is he some kind of strange-ass doctor?
No. She's in this room and we're hearing her thoughts.
Yes, that was really weird.
Mm-hmm. That was interesting. And then this other lady brings food in, into which this girl just is not having this toast.
Yes.
This toast was fine. For the love of God, it was perfectly fine toast. And she's like, should I say something? Am I going to say something? Should I say something? I need to say something. Yeah. This food it's overdone for me. I don't like it.
Oh, I'll go make some more. And then she walks out. And
as soon as she turns her back, that smile turns into, oh my God, this. I'm like, I understand. I understand. God, she's being,
So then, next thing you know, she's being the doctor actually, or nurse actually comes in, or tech, or whatever she was, comes in and is like, oh, well, we're going to go ahead and prep you. So she never got a toast, but. And they put the little mask on her.
Yep, but she goes into surgery, and you see, or you hear this voice, or her eyes close, and then you start hearing things, and it's like, I'm not asleep. What's going on? What's going on? I'm not really under. Blah 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 blah. And it's some little tube, a little round metal thing comes out of this lady's head, and it's moved over to this area. And
see, that's the weird thing is I originally because throughout this entire beginning story, you can hear her thoughts. She's like, okay, so. It's okay. I'm just going to go ahead and count back from 10. And then you see the woman's mouth moving and then it stops, but she's still counting down and then goes blank. And I thought it was going to be one of those awakened stories where...
Well, that's what they lead you to believe.
Like, I'm still awake in here. And then she's like, wait, is that my body? Like, it's just like, she's just floating above her body. She's like... what's happening to me? Like, I was like, what? Is this like Invasion of the Body Snatchers? Like, what's going on here?
It's very, very interesting. And then we move over immediately to Don Draper's character, his little fancy suit, his little earpiece, and then this little stand. And he is from Smartelligence. Yeah, Smartelligence. I wrote it down. It's just a weird word. It's a made-up company. It doesn't matter. And she is a copy?
It's just like this little pod. At first, I thought they put her in an air freshener. Because it looks like one of those automated air fresheners. That's just like...
She's in a cookie.
Yes.
They call it a cookie, which is a weird name for that little thing.
It's something cute, okay? People want to buy cute things. So, let's go get your cookie.
Yeah, it's not a real cookie. I like cookies.
But yeah, so... Next thing you know, she's like, excuse me, like, what's going on here? Where am I? And he's like, well, you're in a cookie. And she's like, what do you mean? Where is my body? It's like, well, you don't actually have a body.
Well, he breaks to her very slowly. He's like, you have one. Try to blow on me.
Yeah.
Or, where's your face? Where's your hands?
She's like, because she insists that she is real. She's like, no, I am real. I am me. Like
if you take half a second to kind of look around here, you can't really.
And then she starts freaking out. He's like, would a simulated body help?
Yes.
And next thing you know, we have little tiny girl from the hospital just kind of chilling in a white room.
Yep. Basically on this little tablet.
Yes.
It's amazing how this episode ends up on a tablet with a lady. It's like, that seems very similar to an idea we went with.
Yes.
Somehow this evolved. We talked about it before the episode. Now the episode's here. It's like, did self-consciously I remember this episode and somehow throw this in here? I don't know. It's weird. It's odd.
But so pretty much she is in this room and he's like, so here are your options. Like, what you are now tasked to do, because you are a copy of the person. Someone paid us to make a copy of you. Or make a copy of them, however you want to say it. So, to control the house, that is your job. Yes. You are going to be making toast.
It's like, instead of having a really smart AI, what if we just make a copy of yourself who will do everything that it already knows you like perfectly? So everything will be exactly like you want it at all times, because it is you.
It knows you. It is you. So
they insert, basically what he says, so this little chip under the skin right here, and it shadows the person for a few weeks. And then when they take it...
a week.
Maybe
Which seems like a really short time to learn someone, but I'm pretty sure he just said a week.
Well, a week or a couple weeks, not a big difference. Anyway, it shadows you.
It is.
It figures you out and knows who you are and what you are. And then they take it back out. They put in a little cookie, and it is now your house AI servant.
Yes. Your personal house AI. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, nah, I'm the real me. I don't know what's going on. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. So?
To which he pretty much says, okay, well...
Well, she starts crying first, and then he mutes her.
Yes.
And then she freaks out because she's muted and she can't talk. And then he unmutes her, and then she goes into, she's not going to do this.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. Put me back in my body. Blah, blah, blah. And to which she's like, well, if you're not going to do this, you're just going to do nothing.
Yes.
So,
what was in the first span? 3 days?
3 weeks.
3 weeks? Okay, yes.
3 weeks the first time, and he just goes over this little thing, and he's like, all right, let's set this, and you see the days passing?
Yes.
1 day, 2 days, and he just
And
sits
all
over here,
it is a picture
grabs
of a
some toast.
house, and you just see the dark sky going over it and over it. And
Yeah.
he's just eating the toast that she made.
Yeah.
'Cause he had her practice. Like, oh, how do you like your toast? Just go ahead and push that button on the thing. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So he's just sitting here eating the toast that she made.
And watching the days pass by, and pass by, and pass by.
And then it goes back to her. And her hair is kind of a little messed up. And she's like, what is going on?
She can tell she did not have a good time for
No.
these 3 weeks. She didn't, there's nothing to do in this little white room where he's isolated her.
She's like, I am bored. And then he's like, well, are you ready to go to work? And she's like, no, I'm not that.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, how about 6 months? And she tries to stop him, and he goes right into it.
Just click and swoop.
And it's just,
Yeah, and he's just sitting there eating the toast and stuff.
it's very cool things.
And so she comes back, her hair's like, whoop. She's hiding under the table.
Yes. She is ready to comply.
She crawls out and is like, give me something to do.
That'd be terrible.
Yeah.
It'd be horrible.
So he's like, oh, okay. And then pretty much closes down the monitor, everything like that. And do you see?
The real her.
Come down the stairs. And, is everything set up? And
Yeah, everything is good. Everything's solid.
she asks about the, how does it get into the conversation about how he talks about breaking them? Because she asks something, and he says...
Well, I don't think he tells her about breaking them. He at some point, we flip back to... repeatedly, we're going back to the cabin.
Yes.
Over and over and over.
Okay.
And he's telling Mr. Potter how you have to break them.
Yes. He pretty much says you have to break them. He's like... Because I want to say Mr. Potter made some comment like 6 months, and he's like, you can't go too long, though. Because then they just become insane, and they're no use to anyone and anywhere.
And then, once we're back in there, and right before he leaves, or right before we leave this story, they imply, because he hits on her with did you see there's a guy out there riding a horse?
Yes, which is the exact same line he taught his
little companion buddy to get the girl, or to break the ice.
Yes.
He uses on her, which to me implies he was trying to get with her.
Oh, yeah.
Which means he's obviously cheating on his wife because he's doing these things.
Yeah.
It's implied. There's no definitive anything, but it's implied with that line.
Yes.
But we pop back out, and then Mr. Potter, not particularly happy with the story.
Well, he said, pretty much, another thing is that not only do the little AIs, or the little copies or whatever, not only do they either comply or get broken, but once they're broken, they get to be sold off to the gaming industry as little, to be put off into some war game.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes. It's an interesting world they live in.
To which Mr. Potter is like, pretty much, it doesn't he just go straight to like, that's slavery?
Yeah, that's slavery.
Yes.
Like, no, it's not real.
Yeah.
It's just code. So therefore it's not slavery.
He's still not.
And he goes like, you know what? I like you. You're a good guy.
Yes.
You having an issue with this and you blah, 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 I can tell you're a good guy.
To which he finally starts to show emotion.
And he's like, I'm not a good guy.
Yes. And he's like, well, why do you think that? Like,
Yeah, my note was like, now it's time for Guy 1's story.
Dun, dun,
Finally, we're getting to this. The guy we started the episode with. We're finally going to get what's going on with him.
Honestly, I must have been so intrigued by that last part because my last note was moral debate. So I assume,
Did you miss the next?
I literally
other half of the episode?
I must have been just staring at the screen like, what is going on? I finally get to know what's happening.
Yeah, so he starts off, he's like, her dad never liked me.
Yeah, which is... Okay.
Well, to me, it very much plays into the story.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, just a way to start out.
That's how he decides. Her dad never liked me.
Yes. So then we get into the play of his story. So you just see, a happy couple coming out of a cottage and like...
Yep. And then you start we go to the karaoke bar,
yes.
to which he sings and then she sings that song. You can blame me, you can try to shame me, but still, I'll care for you. Yes. Is her little line.
And you can tell that he kind of has he has a problem with alcohol.
Yeah, he doesn't handle his alcohol very well because it's from the second episode, or I assume. And then he's a bad drunk.
Yes,
she's not happy.
Yes, you can tell. Even when she's singing, she's just not singing with when watching him sing and he's all over the place. She's not really smiling. When she's singing, she's kind of looking at the table, but it's not really a staring deep into your eyes kind of singing to you.
Yeah, you can tell not very happy, to which we switch over to a dinner.
Which, throughout this entire narration, he's building this picture of them being perfect together.
Yes, but we're not getting that picture from what we're seeing.
Yeah, it's kind of like Don saying, oh, I didn't watch, and then...
Yeah, we're getting a different version for what he's actually laying out there. Which he's saying they're happy, but it's obvious at this dinner that she's not happy.
Yes.
She's definitely not happy. Because they have her coworkers are over.
Yes.
And I'm trying to should I clarify something real quick or not?
Just wait.
Yeah, so her coworkers are over and talking about how she got them together and blah, blah, blah. And... of course, she's the one lady's not happy, and then...
Yes, she pretty much, they're over, she's like, oh, yeah, we've been together for this long, and we're already engaged, shows a ring and everything, and the wife or the girlfriend or whatever she is doesn't really even look at it. She's just kind of we have the after dinner where they're, everybody's laughing except her, and then they're cleaning up stuff, and she's like, I don't feel good.
Yeah, I'm going to go to bed. Will you get things? And he's like, sure. To which he picks a few things up and he goes to get the trash. And because apparently a trash can is difficult to open and take out a bag, it's like an infomercial. So, use this one because the normal one's so hard to handle. And the trash flies out on the floor. This is such the worst excuse ever of taking out the bag. And he's picking up the trash and he realizes there's a birth control.
It's a pregnancy test.
Thank you.
A birth control.
Wrong words. Pregnancy test in the trash. And it says they're pregnant or she's pregnant.
Yeah. And so he goes up into the bedroom and it's like, honey, is this yours? And she doesn't answer at first. And he's like, honey, is this yours? And it's like, no, it's the next door neighbor. He's like, what the...
Who do you think snuck that in there?
I invited a friend over. She needed to,
To which she's like, I don't want it.
Yes. She's pretty much just like, yes, that's mine. I'm not ready for kids. And he's like, no, we'll be great. You'll be a great mom. But no, I don't want it.
I don't want it. I'm only 27.
Yes. And he's like, we'll be okay. She's like, no, we won't. And
she is bound determined she's getting rid of the baby. She's going to terminate the pregnancy. Blah, blah, blah. He definitely doesn't want her to. He's very much into this.
Yes. And he's like, wait, you've been drinking all night. And she's like, yeah, I have. I don't want it. And he's like, oh, so you're a cold bitch. This is
where the fight starts getting worse and worse.
You're trying to kill it. Yeah.
To which she decides, blocks him.
Yes.
this stupid block thing!
So he's sitting there screaming at her to unblock him. All she hears is... Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah. She's officially blocked him.
Yes, he throws a vase across the room and...
He walks out of the room. He sleeps on the couch. And then we go to the morning time to where she's leaving.
She has left. He tries to bang on the car window and all... The stupid damn block thing. She drives away and...
To which he says she left and she didn't come back.
Yes.
And this is where you find out when they look at a photograph. He's like, you can't even wallow properly.
Yes.
Because every image, every photograph of her is blurred out as well. Which, again, ridiculous.
Yes, that's insane.
This is too far. It's too far. I can understand. I get how maybe that would work that way because, like, oh, it's a picture of her. And in this computer thing, it's like, it's a picture of her. She's blocked. You can't see that. But still, this is ridiculous.
So, the first thing he does is he goes to her. He keeps trying to see her, and he goes to her work, to which the same coworkers that were at the dinner are like, she left.
She left. She quit, and she left.
Yeah. And then he thinks about, okay, where could she be? And he randomly sees her.
Yes, he randomly sees her, to which he goes up to her, he's trying to talk to her, and then he grabs her, and then the next thing he's like, well, someone called the police, and I was arrested.
Well, the thing that he notes is she's pregnant.
Yes.
She's kept the baby.
Yes, she's pregnant, she's kept the baby, to which he does approach and blah, blah, and then my following thing happened.
Yes.
But yes, she's pregnant because, this baby that she did not want, and she was convinced to get rid of, the one she blocked him and left him over, she kept.
Yes. And then to which he remembers that every Christmas she goes to her dad's.
Well, he actually goes next into, he starts writing her dad letters.
Oh, yes.
Because he knows that there's the only person he can get in contact with, so he keeps writing letters, to which, of course, he gets no response. Yes. And then, he decides, she has Christmas at her father's every Christmas. So he's like, I guess I'll go there to see her. Before
that, though, during the whole him getting arrested thing, he was notified that via the block program, he had a restraining order against him that he could not be within like 10 meters, I think.
Yes, 10 meters of her. At some point before the Christmas thing, he sees her and the dad, or is this the first Christmas? I can't remember.
It's the first one. He decides to go up there. He kind of measures it out from like the driveway and climbs up into the woods.
He's Mr. Stalker at this point.
Yes. He's like, I had to see her. So he measures it out, climbs into like the tree area and waits.
See, my biggest thing with this whole parental and blocking and everything, which to me makes no sense at all. Okay, she's pregnant. He's the father. Therefore, he should have rights to see the child. And there's nothing that would say otherwise. In this world, he's the father. He has rights. You can't block the father from seeing a child. And the mother doesn't have the only say-so.
I don't really know. Well, obviously, I don't really know anything about that legally. But in a sense, he did show violence towards her, though.
Not even.
Might have talked
not enough to say, hey, you can never see the child again, and it's blocked forever. Yeah. That's extreme.
Like, literally shook her in public while she was pregnant. You know,
we're going to get further.
Witnesses.
We're getting further into this. All right, so he goes to Christmas, and he sees them arrive at the house, and to which he gets a glimpse that she had the baby.
Yes, and it's a little static baby.
It's a little static baby because it's blocked as well, because screw this woman.
Yes. So before he's like, and I couldn't even see if it was a boy or girl, which they go back to the cottage, and Don is, I'm just going to keep calling him Don now, thanks. He's like, because offspring are blocked too. Yes. Which you can tell it's because he had experience when his wife blocked, because she took the kids.
Which again, I don't think there's any there should be no rights there for that to take place.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to be blocked? You can't. That doesn't magically make any child you ever had blocked as well, and makes the other parent completely null and void. This is dumb. Anyway. So yes, he
goes back every Christmas.
every Christmas for like 4 years.
Yes.
And at one point, maybe on the 4th year or whatever, he finally can see the gender.
Yes.
Because the outline actually resembles and shows like, oh, there's like a skirt, and oh, it's a female.
And that is the year he decided he wanted to reach out. So he had made a bunny, or he had gotten a little bunny and put it on the post.
Yes.
And then climbed back into the woods where his little stalker post was at. And then the girl looked at, or the figure walked over to the fence, and he's like, that's when I realized I had a little girl. And picks up the bunny and goes back to the house.
Yep. I believe the next one is we go to the television.
Yes.
To which that show is playing.
Yeah. I didn't.
That show is playing. I'm like, that looks a lot like that show. Yeah. And he's flipping through the television, and to which I think it was a train wreck, is like, on the news saying, oh, and this person died, and this person died, and then that she pops up. Her actual picture of her face shows up.
And he pauses it, because this is the first time he has seen her face.
In 5 years?
Yes. So he touches the screen, starts crying.
And because she died is the only reason the block has been removed.
Yes. The block dies with her, is what they said.
Which is, oh my God. But if the block dies with her, therefore it also dies and doesn't work on the child.
Yes. And he realizes this, so he drives to the dad's house.
Yes, because that's, of course, where the kid's going to be. Yeah. If mom doesn't have the kid and she's dead, the child can only be with the grandparent, because we know there's nowhere else it would go.
Yes. So he, drives there, stops, and there she is playing in the snow. So he walks over. First of all, he bought her a snow globe, and
yes.
even flipped it over and wrote "Love Daddy" on the bottom.
Yeah.
Because it was going to be the first actual gift he can hand to her. She would see it and be able to accept it. Mm-hmm. And so he walks over and is like, "Honey," and kind of, I think, reaches out, maybe taps her shoulder or something, and she turns. Whoop-bam!
Whoop-bam! Surprise!
Little Asian baby.
Exactly. Let's go that way. Yes. It's a little Asian baby. Which is like, okay, this is not your child. Apparently. Huh. Who else in this episode do we know who could have she could have done anything with, whose baby it could be? We mentioned that couple from earlier at the house and then at the work, and who she got them together. Well, the guy was an Asian man.
Yes.
And at the karaoke, he was sitting at the bar, or at the table, right behind the husband or the boyfriend.
No, he was sitting right behind. It almost looked like she was sitting in his lap. That's how close
I'm saying when she was singing.
Oh, okay.
He was there, and the Asian dude was right here over his shoulder. It's like, okay. She cheated on him with the Asian guy, got pregnant. That's why all this is going to crap. But the worst part about all of this is she blocked him and never told him anything.
Yes.
That's what made this 10 times worse. And to me, what sparks everything that happens in this episode is because that woman blocked and just wouldn't tell him anything.
Yeah.
He didn't know anything. The father didn't tell him anything. Just nothing.
See, that's
you should just accept that you will never have any information ever, and I should tell you nothing.
See, that's the thing, is that it's it does actually go back in montage, because you see the episode one way, and then it goes back and actually shows you, oh, they're actually looking really friendly there sitting at the bar. Mm-hmm. Oh, she actually is singing directly to him. It's oh, during the dinner, while they're sitting there talking, she's just looking longingly at him, kind of sadly, oh, I have a secret, but I can't tell anybody at this table. Mm-hmm. And so it leads me to believe she never told the guy that she was pregnant with
she never told him either.
Yeah.
But that's what sparks the entire episode. Her unwillingness to just tell him the truth and just leave him blocked forever and leave this man just have no idea what's going on.
Just watch this child grow up, not even knowing it's not his.
Everything would have been fine if you just would have told him.
Yeah.
Just told him, hey, it's not yours. I cheated on you. I'm sorry. It's not your child.
Yes.
And left it at that, nothing about this episode would have occurred.
But it did. It did. So there's a little Asian baby, and he follows her into the house.
Oh, yeah! Which he refuses to accept.
Yes.
So that was the person he's been looking after this whole time. He keeps asking, where is my daughter?
Yes. And the dad is pretty much like, you have no business here. This is her daughter.
This is her daughter. I hid those letters and never gave them to her.
Yes. Because she was having a rough time.
She had to leave everything behind. Yeah, because she cheated on her boyfriend, got pregnant, and didn't want to tell her coworkers because she got them two together, which would break them up, and then apparently they didn't want to face her boyfriend about the cheating either, so she just blocked him, and... God, what a horrible person. I'm so glad she died in this episode. She was a terrible, terrible person.
I was just going to go to the fact that I would say yes, except almost if she hadn't have died, I have a feeling that eventually she would have just gotten rid of the block out of fucking boredom.
Was she?
And then she
would
have never...
No, he's not to.
And then maybe he would have killed her, but still...
He'd have every right to. This woman tortured him for how many years? No, I hate that woman. I hate this fictional character in this show.
Either way, so the dad repeatedly is like, get out of my house. And he's like, where's my daughter? I'm not leaving without my daughter. And, yeah...
Some kind of small confrontation, to which Home Dude decides to turn around with snow globe in hand and smash the dad upside the head. Or Grandpa upside the head.
Yes.
To which Grandpa falls back and sits in a little chair and is like...
Yeah. And then dies.
And yeah, just dies right there. Just right.
Like, it's like the guy was so in shock that he actually hit him that he stopped and just kind of like sat down, and then... Grandpa died, and he's like, fuck, I just realized what I just did.
Yes.
And starts crying.
Yes, this was not what he intended. This was not what he wanted. It was kind of an accident. It's not what... He didn't come here to kill anyone. It
was called, I think it's a crime of passion when stuff like this happens. Like when you kill someone because of your being distraught, I believe it's
extreme.
Called... Yes, I believe it's called a crime of passion.
To which he's in the kitchen of Grandpa's house and sees a very familiar clock on the wall.
Yeah.
To which we cut back
the clock actually goes off.
Yes, I believe. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then we go back to the little area in the snow with Don Draper and everything. And it's like, that clock. That clock.
Yes, the clock's going off, and it's like, you look around, and you're realizing that this cottage that they're in, there's a lot of similarities starting to happen.
Yeah. Cottage at this point.
So, and Don's very persistent. He wants him to keep going. Like,
yeah, what happened? What happened?
Yeah. What did you do after that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I left.
I left. Just left.
Yeah.
And started drinking, and I got picked up by the cops.
Yes. He's like, I slept on the streets, drank until they found me.
And never told anyone.
Yes.
Anything.
Yes. And then he's like, what happened to the girl?
Exactly. What happened to the girl?
And he's like, he doesn't want to say. He doesn't want to say anything at first. He wants to be done talking right now.
At some point he says that she just stayed in the house.
Yes.
She just stayed in the house. And you keep getting this like, what happened to the girl? Yeah. What happened to this innocent child that happened to be a bystander to all of this?
And he's fine. He like keeps saying like, he's like, he just doesn't want to. He doesn't want to remember it. He doesn't want to. And then he's like, finally like, They said that she
left on... He used the word Boxing Day.
Yes.
What does that mean?
I can't remember what Boxing Day is.
What British term is Boxing Day?
What is it? I used to know it too. I want to say it's like New Year's-ish.
I don't know. Okay.
I can't remember. I should know this shit. But
she left on Boxing Day.
She stayed up there. until she realized no one was coming to help. So
she gave Grandpa her homemade gift. Dead Grandpa sitting on the stool.
And then realized she needed to go get help.
In the blizzard snow.
So
that's the last we actually hear of that.
Actually, no. Because he says, but how far did she get? Don keeps asking, how far did she get? And he said, I believe he said something like, may God have mercy on my soul, or like something like that. And then he never says, but you just see a picture of a tree in the yard and the little girl laying there.
I somehow missed that little piece. But, yeah. So, and then Don is like... He's like, do you confess?
Yes. He's pretty much left what had happened was... Mr. Potter had been sitting at the table this entire time. So he's gotten up. He's like leaning over the sink, like crying. And that's when Don's like, how far did she get? And you see him look out the window and there's the big tree and the girl laying there. And he's like, do you confess? And he's just like, yeah, I confess.
To which we finally see Don Draper come out of this world with him and Potter.
Oh, he seems like he doesn't even get to that point. He's like, I told you I could get it, and like just while he's like, I'm sorry, Mr. Potter. Like, just goes back to that slick guy who was helping the guy get a girl. Like, his personality completely changed to this caring guy listening to his story to just like, I just did my job.
Yep, and sucks back out of that world.
Yes.
It brings his head up from this black curtained area, whatever this was, which is really different from the other way. But, apparently he is here to get confession from Potter of what happened. And this version of Potter is a copy.
Yes.
So we're going back to the original story of what he did for a living.
Yes.
He apparently got caught for the kid dying from poison from the woman. So they're blaming him because he was an accomplice, not really, who didn't call the police about a crime scene. So they've got him, and to kind of bargain with them, he's helping the police get a confession out of Potter to help himself off of his crime.
Yes. You done?
I don't know.
So yes, pretty much in exchange for maybe a lighter sentence or, some kind of deal, he was asked to get a confession out of Potter, which the guy said...
He does in like 70 minutes.
Yes, he's like, we've been working on this guy for 2 days, got nothing, or whatever, and he's like, this guy just comes in here and does it in, 70 minutes, and then Don corrects him. Was it 64 or whatever?
He's like, well, to him, it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
They turned up the little thingamajig, like we saw earlier.
And so, you see this lady... go to a sliding little door and open it, or open the little window, and there's a raggedy...
really bearded version of Mr. Potter.
Yes. And it's pretty much like, hey, we don't need your confession anymore. Your little guy up here told us everything.
Yeah,
your mind has betrayed you. Yeah. Yep. And so then pretty much closes the door... And Don's like, okay, so does that mean I'm free? Do I get off?
Yeah, but there's gonna be a few things. Yeah. We're gonna have to put you on a list.
The registry. What does that mean? Yeah. Yeah. There was something else too. I thought there was 2 stipulations.
Well, he's gonna put on the list, and of course he's going to be blocked.
Oh. I thought being put on the registry was the blocking, but...
And it may be, but he's on the list and he will be blocked. And he's like, well, from who? They're like, from everyone.
Yes. So then he walks out, and everything looks normal at first, and then you realize that more and more people are gray, and...
Everyone is grayed out, which, in my opinion, makes no sense at all.
It doesn't.
You cannot go through life at all and never be able to speak or see or communicate with anyone ever.
Yes.
That's a little extreme. And on top of that, everyone doesn't just see him as a gray blob. They see him as a red blob, which definitely signifies this is a bad man.
And that's the thing, is that when someone blocks you, you can't send messages to them. They can't send messages to you. Like, it's just...
You couldn't live that way. Yeah. This is the part of the episode. It's like, y'all went just a hair too far with this, that it seems completely illogical and to me breaks what you've built here.
There'd have to be either some stipulation like businesses can communicate with you, like stores and stuff, or that it only lasts for a certain amount of time.
I don't know. That's the thing, is it needs to be a slightly fleshed out his sentence or what they were going to do. Yeah. Because, again, in my opinion, it breaks... Black Mirror had a reputation.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they set it upon themselves of very much they have a tendency to have very sad, disappointing endings. Ooh, I didn't realize we've been going long.
But,
an hour and 2 minutes. Woo! The news on this episode!
But, the last thing that you see, really, is that you see the same guy that was like, oh, we couldn't break him in 2 days, and you got this guy to come in. He is sitting there with the little iPad thingy, the same one you see Don using earlier, and he's like, I just set that Potter guy to 1,000...
1,000 years a minute.
Yes.
And the girl's like, he's like, well, do you want me to turn it off? She's like, nah, he can sit through the holidays or through the Christmas or whatever.
Yeah. He can sit through Christmas. And so then it goes back to Little Cottage where Potter's sitting there and there's a radio playing this song.
The same song.
I thought it was a Christmas song.
Oh, it's that song again.
I could have swore it was a Christmas song.
It's that song again. At the very end, they go back to that song, which she was singing in the karaoke, which is the same song from the other episode.
I don't think it is.
I guarantee.
I want to say it was a Christmas song.
I'm
because it annoyed the hell out of me.
I'm going to bring Netflix up. And we're going to the end of the episode. We're going to play it here.
But
so everyone knows.
Pretty much, he takes the radio, smashes it on the ground, turns around, and the radio's still there. It's pretty much the same day repeating itself over and over again, or over and over a minute, whatever you want to call it. And he keeps on sitting there breaking the radios, and every time he breaks a radio, it comes back louder. So finally, he literally just sits on the ground, covers his ears, and starts screaming, which would have been me.
Oh, no. He practically goes insane.
Yes.
Because, come on, 1,000 years a minute? I don't
think he'd be bored, because, it would happen.
But still, it's 1,000 years a minute. He's a copy. They're torturing this copy. That's all it really is. They're trying to make this copy go insane.
Yeah.
1,000 years, you can't die, you don't need sleep. He's stuck there infinitely, which is insane.
It's Christmas every day. That's the name of the song that there's playing at the end. Because I remember it being ironic because there is a movie called Christmas Every Day.
Is there?
Yes.
I'll take your word.
Now you want to take my word for it?
I think probably restricting from this. You have music in there. No, I'll have music. I could have sworn it was that song again.
No.
I could have sworn.
I remember it being so damn annoying because it kept getting louder and louder, and I'm like, shut the hell up.
Yeah, I could have sworn. It doesn't matter. I was wrong. At least we proved that we got it right here. I was wrong. Anyway, I was going to say something else.
I didn't write down the next episode of the Twilight Zone, so you might want to look that up real quick.
I totally can. I'm already kind of here. But
so yes, the overall episode really enjoyed. Yes, the stipulations with the whole blocking thing is kind of.
My thing was Mr. Potter. What were they trying to charge him with?
I don't know, because technically, well, he did murder somebody, but technically...
One person!
Yeah.
Technically, one person was his fault. But kind of the other one, but not really.
Because he could have told someone there was a child.
Could have.
It's kind of like Don and not telling anybody that, these people kind of got murdered. But, murder, suicide. But it's like... child neglect.
I feel so bad
homicide.
For Potter.
Yes.
Because all this could have been so easily avoided in my opinion, none of this was really his fault.
No, all she would have had to say, it's not your child, you don't have to worry about it. You want to break up with me, that's fine. And he could have gone about his merry way.
Tried to be a real adult about things, and just, the blocking thing in this is the worst thing ever. I can get it to a point, and I can see where it might be halfway okay in certain circumstances, but it is the worst thing ever.
It's like, block him for an hour, okay, that's fine. Block him for as long as you want, what the hell? Like, unless it's like an actual restraining order, where, fine, whatever, but still.
This thing was horrible.
Did you? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I pulled it up.
Okay. But yeah.
I don't know.
This
the
was
episode was good. Don Draper's character, good. Things that happened in this episode, really cool ideas. But
just horrible things happening to people.
Yes.
It's one of those kind of it's
well, again, in both instances, I think the good guys are who get screwed over in this episode.
Yes.
Because John Draper's character, in my opinion, not a bad guy.
No, he just was trying to help this dude get a girl.
I mean, he has a service. He offers the service. Okay, it's not his fault that the girl he got this guy to get. The guy picked her out. He wanted to get with her. He just helped him get with the girl he wanted to be with. It's not his fault she turned out to be a suicidal psychopath. Not his fault. Reporting that murder or not didn't change anything. They found the bodies. Whether he reported it then or they found it later wouldn't have changed anything. They couldn't have saved his poisoned body.
And then Potter just got the shit into the stick everywhere. So.
Yeah, and he just... In the end, yes, he has had to do something for jail time because, yes, he did actually murder one person, and by murdering one, it kind of killed two.
And it's like...
Which still, in the end, wasn't his fault.
I also understand, even if, he never knew the child was his, when you see your friend, like, obsessively trying to go after someone, you'd think you'd be like, dude, I just want to let you know, this may be why it is. We had an affair. Like, why didn't his friend step up and say, like, even if he didn't know he had a kid, if your friend is like...
Well, the thing is, they never showed any friends.
No, that meant the coworker dude. Like, why didn't the coworker dude, see that, like, him showing up at work and going,
It was only at one time. We don't know if there was multiple times. We don't know if he kept in contact. These were her coworkers. They weren't his friends.
I don't know. I still think, like,
it could easily, if she just would have unblocked them, it'd have been like, okay, we know what's going on.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but it's like, I understand, okay, it's not his responsibility, but if some guy, if you show up at your girlfriend's work or whatever and go, hey, where is she? I haven't seen her. She blocked me. And they go, oh, she up and quit. I think that's about the time to be like, we need to have a man-to-man talk kind of thing. Because this might be why she ran away from you.
He ain't gonna say nothing. That's gonna ruin his new relationship with his new fiance.
That's bad.
He's not going to say anything.
That's too damn
You
bad.
know he's not going to say anything.
I know.
He will not go kind of just confess to something like that.
I just think it's fucking stupid.
And he didn't know she was pregnant either when she left. And he didn't say anything about that right there. No, it's just the worst possible. The only people who could have solved this was her and the father. And neither of them said anything. It just ruined this poor man's life. It's frustrating.
Anyway.
Yes. The next episode we'll be doing next week, The Twilight Zone. Episode 8. Time Enough at Last.
Oh, I think I've actually seen. I can't.
Put upon Bookworm, Henry Bemis lives to read and rejoices perhaps prematurely when a nuclear attack leaves him in the sole survivor in a sea of books.
This is actually... I think
you've mentioned this, yeah.
This is actually one of the most well-known Twilight Zone episodes. Like, every time someone mentions the Twilight Zone, most people think of this episode.
Sure, I'll take your word on this. I don't know that... I don't know anything.
Yes. But yeah.
Time Enough at Last. is the next episode we'll be doing. This particular episode, well, you want to talk time? It really an hour and 10 minutes long, the longest one we've done. But again, there's a lot to talk about in this episode.
Yeah, it was technically 3 different stories all on its own. So
yeah, I mean, they just really. Whew.
Now I want to watch Trick or Treat, but that's totally different.
Never seen it, so
I've been wanting to see it again. Can't find it anywhere. But, yeah.
I'm just looking forward to getting through more episodes of Twilight Zone because I love Twilight Zone. Not Twilight Zone.
I was like, you're getting super excited over the
Twilight Zone. So cool, so awesome.
Yeah, I was like,
I do enjoy it.
Yeah, I knew you were talking about.
And the next episode of Black Mirror in season 3 is going to be Nosedive. To me, this is when, in my opinion, the episodes get a little bit bigger budget, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think you start seeing that a little bit with Dawn Draper being a character and stuff. And I think this one, because I recognize this girl. I don't know her name. I wish they would give me a name real quick. And then I recognize the guy in the next episode. And, yeah, this one has 6 episodes. Episode 4 of this one is one of, if not my favorite episode of Black Mirror.
Okay. Well, we have a ways to go.
So there's some fun ones in between all these. Some really fun ones. A really, 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 really dark one.
Oh, God.
Basically, think about the first episode, and we're going to take another ride. I'm just telling you, I'm not ruining anything. I'm just saying it's dark.
I don't want to think about this right now.
It's dark. But right after that one's my favorite one. Oh. So we're going to bring it back and have some goodness.
Except we have an episode Twilight Zone between that. So
no, well, you
better hope that's not.
Well, this is the 4th episode. So actually, we have 4 more episodes before we get where I want, or 3 more than the one. It's the 4th, season 3, episode 4.
Say goodbye.
It's called San Junipero.
What?
That's episode 4's name.
What?
San Junipero. That's the name of the episode.
Oh, okay.
And it is 1 hour and 1 minute long.
Another long one.
Well, actually, all these are long. This one, the first episode's an hour and 3. Second episode's 57, 52, an hour and 1 hour, and then an hour and a half for the last episode.
So meaning I really need to watch these at night instead of trying to watch them right after we get off work.
Well, you gotta do what you gotta do. Ah! God, I love Black Mirror. We're just going to film a whole bunch of these. I just want to keep watching Black Mirror and film these. I know, this has been a long episode. I'm dragging it out even longer. Everyone's clicked off like they're done. We're done.
Shut the hell up.
All right. As always, you can reach me at Starts and Travel.
As always, I'm going to scream at you.
Pretty much. You can reach Amanda at Casey Pup. Reach the show at Beyond Our Focus on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, podcast services. Amanda's tired. She's going to take a nap.
Well,
please check out other stuff on their YouTube and on our podcast services. Also, please check out the comic that comes out every Wednesday. So, the Beyond Our Focus comic. We're really enjoying it. Hope you all like it. Like the show. Subscribe to any channels or podcast service that you can. And leave a comment down below letting us know what you thought personally of this episode of Black Mirror and the episode of the show itself, this show that you're watching. Anyways, anything else that I've forgotten?
I don't know, but that last part hurt my brain. So I'm going to just say bye.
All right. Till next time, long days and pleasant.